This is a podcast presented by
Hard to Find Media.
Subscribe to Hard to Find Media on youtube.com/Hard to Find Media Network. This shit is free. Share it. Blast it.
Whatever it is, I can handle it.
You're the one always telling me I need to find my destiny. Well, one thing's for certain, it's not here in Kansas.
You saved my life.
He's a rather extraordinary young man. Don't you think?
Hello and welcome to Smallville Freaks, a podcast 15 years too late. I'm Mike Pelly, joined by Jason Lamb. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
We're discussing Season 1, Episode 6 of Smallville. It was called Hourglass.
Hourglass, correct.
Yeah. This one, I would really like to talk about Cassandra.
All right, feel free.
Cassandra is a character in this episode that, can see the fucking future. And, I feel like this episode was purely trying to let the viewers know this is a show about Superman mythology.
Yeah.
It's just oh, we need someone that can see the future so that way you can see Superman's future. Or you can see Lex Luthor's future.
All those people you're going to save.
All those people. And we'll get to that in the Geek Lore segment. But Cassandra. She really is not a character that you get to ever see again in this series.
There's a reason for that. Should we get to that now?
She dies.
Yeah, she basically dies.
But
she dies when she looks into Lex Luthor's future.
Right. The fact that his future is so evil, it killed her looking at it. That's insane.
Yeah.
And kind of perfect in a way. It really kind of encaptures the horror of the future of Lex Luthor.
It's some good foreshadowing.
Yeah. So let's get into the overview of the episode. Honestly, this episode, the main thing they were trying to, I think, focus on was this Cassandra character seeing the future of Clark, seeing the future of Lex Luthor, and letting the new viewers of Smallville know this is a show that is going to set up the stage for Superman going forward. Whether or not that actually happens, because we've seen all 10 seasons, it's a different story, but it's interesting nonetheless. Other than that, it's got a freak of the week who is another old guy that lives at the same old. Who
ends up being a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, apparently he was already before, when he was younger.
Yeah, they knew about it, but they still admitted him to this hospital anyway, which is so fucking
and
weird.
And Lana is this what's the guy's name? Carver. Carver is the name of the older man who was already convicted of attempted murder in the past, but he has a nice fucking room with a nice little vinyl player. He's got all these books and it's just an old people home.
He creeps on all the nurses and candy stripers.
Yeah, and Lana likes him. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But Lana's she knew that he was a convicted attempted murderer. And so he turned into a freak of the week.
Yeah.
By dumping himself into a water, dumping himself into the lake.
It was a koi pond filled with meteor rocks from the meteor shower, apparently. And none of the fish were mutated. That was something that you brought up earlier.
Yeah.
But he's trying to sneak a smoke when Lana slips off for a second. He drops his lighter, and when he reaches over in his wheelchair, the wheelchair flips over and he falls in. And then all of a sudden becomes a younger version of himself.
And there is seriously, so at the same time when he fell into the water, it showed the Cassandra, the old lady who could see the future for some reason, dropping a glass at the same time.
Yeah.
And they correlated it in the editing. For what reason? Why is that something that is connected? It was one of those things that you see in the end of a movie where there's it's the reveal, a big connection. Nope, it has nothing to do with each other.
Is she supposed to have like a connection to this old guy who she barely knows. Like
no idea.
And then like they explain so many times that she has to touch somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was ridiculous, but yeah, that's pretty much what it was. The old guy who turns into a young guy had a vendetta against a family that like fucked his family.
He's basically Freddy Krueger. He's like tracking down the grandchildren and children of all the people that convicted him when he was younger.
But think of Freddy Krueger, who had gone to jail, did jail time, got out, went to an old living home, and then turned young again.
Old living home.
I don't know, what do they call it?
I don't know, but that one is great.
Assisted living?
Yes, assisted living, sure.
Into assisting, went into...
Old living.
I went into an assisted living place and it wreaked havoc on his...
He had like a teacher or something that denied him a full ride scholarship somewhere.
Right.
And so he murdered... No, he murdered the teacher's kid.
Right.
Because he took away his future, so now he's going to take away the
all
teacher's.
boring. Who cares? Exactly. This is the kind of thing where it was just like, it was even casually mentioned so quick where Jason and I had to like rewind it to like figure out what his vendetta was.
Right.
And like then he went after the granddaughter of someone that he hated at a coffee shop. And he stayed like real late. And she's like, sure, that's fine. And like let him like, he's just like, don't worry, I'm going to serenade you with my Mozart or whatever he was, wherever it was he was playing.
And clearly this barista was like new at this, right? Because like every barista you know is just jaded as fuck.
Like,
and just be like, get the fuck out of here.
Fuck out of here. Like, I am not going to like lock the door and have some weirdo that I've never seen before here. Like,
yeah, sure,
playing
you can
piano.
Stay.
Anyway, he gets killed by the fucking on the Smallville farm. He eventually wants to go after the Kents.
Right.
As you would. And gets killed in their
it's a grain silo, which I think they were using to fill with corn.
Right. So that's pretty much what happened in the episode. But there is so much to talk about in the geek lore, and we'll get there in a second. Drama segment.
Trust me, you don't want to know me the way you think you do.
Clark, that's my decision to make.
There is hardly anything here. All I can tell you right now is that Chloe, Pete, and Lana are kind of like the Scooby-Doo crew in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a weird, like, mystery episode where they're trying to figure it all out, but there's no drama involved. They're literally just trying to figure out, like, this mystery.
They go from, like, place to place, but, like, none of it, like, they'd all of their scenes just serve as exposition for Clark to, like, do something.
Exactly.
Like, it's, like, the most anticlimactic episode we've seen so far of the six.
Of the whole six. There is a scene where Chloe and Pete come to find Clark to be like, hey, we're uncovering some information about the case or whatever. And he's just like, oh, I was busy. And Chloe says, you know, she's like, oh, you were talking with Lana about it.
Right.
Yeah, so it was kind of the first glimpse that you get into Chloe being a little jealous.
Oh, we've definitely seen that before. Every time she says like Lana Lang, it's like has the most venom ever.
But now we're starting to see like the clear picture.
Yeah.
That like, oh yeah, she's straight up jealous. Like whereas before she was just being like really like hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Like this hit the nail on the head was when she said that. But then they moved on to the murder mystery. So that's it for drama. But next we're going to go right into the drinking game, which Jason will spearhead for us.
All right.
The party can officially begin. The Luthors are here.
So this one was a little light. So I'd switch to hard A for this episode.
This is kind of an episode that was like, I want to say isolated.
Yeah. And again, not a whole lot happens.
No.
In it. It was like a filler. It
was a geek lore episode.
I sort of. I mean, like it doesn't get like too deep into it. I still feel like they give a couple of hints, but it's not. Yeah. Anyway,
Jason, were there any hospital scenes in this episode?
There were zero. Again, they haven't set this up as a set. Can't quite remember when that's going to happen, but
I'm so blown away at the fact that we haven't seen the hospital yet. But I think it's because we prominently think of season 2.
Yeah.
Like that's where it's fucking like literally every episode. Does anybody say the word son or father?
No, nobody did, which is, I think, the first time in all the episodes that we've seen where nobody did. And Lex doesn't mention his father. Lana never specifically mentions her parents, even though her like grandparents are brought up for her.
Right.
And Clark never says, my father, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Again, this is kind of an isolated Smallville episode.
Yeah.
Pretty weird. Chloe doesn't cry. Correct?
Doesn't cry in this one.
Clark is not without apparel in
Right.
this episode.
He's not shirtless. What kind of episode is this?
I don't know. This is a very standalone episode. But here's the kicker. I think you tell me. Does glass shatter?
Oh yeah. No, every episode, I'm telling you, this is the winner 3 times.
3 times. Okay.
That is sure to get you fucked up in the 45 minutes of this episode.
Do you remember what instances that was?
So the first one was when they dropped the glass.
Right. And the connection between the guy falling in the water and her dropping the glass, which makes no sense.
The second one is where the killer Carver gets a vase smashed over his head.
Yes.
By Martha Kent.
Yes.
And the third one I don't remember. But I'm sure it was
but
fascinating.
It was glass that was shattering.
Yes.
Yeah. Go watch the episode,
There was probably a
listeners,
window.
and if you want to just double check. Foreshadowing.
I would say twice.
Yeah.
Both for Clark and for Lex.
Because the fortune teller.
Yeah, you had the fortune teller. She said you're going to save all these people, sort of, right? That'll also get into the geek segment. And then with like Lex, his like possible future as president, which is something that's straight out of the comics.
Absolutely.
So that is specific to that foreshadowing.
Very much so. Clark lying.
He does lie when he lies to the old lady and says that he's just like everybody else.
Oh, that is a lie. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
What about him brooding?
I say it's iffy, but we'll go ahead and say no for this one.
Yeah.
He has a scene where you say it's more contemplation.
I think he was thinking about like the things that were going on. I don't think he was upset. But
Right.
go ahead.
Lana does bring up her parents in the beginning of the episode, right?
Absolutely.
So someone says abilities. That does not happen.
That's so weird that it doesn't happen though.
Yeah. I think that because the amount of destiny that was used in this episode and the fact that it's coming up so much, we need to make an amendment to this drinking game and add destiny as the unlucky 13th.
Yes. I would say so.
I think it's valid. Especially I think in like season 3, they use the word destiny all the time.
I like honestly
For both Lana
this
and her weird
podcast
shit.
is really just about us getting through season 1, and not that we don't love we love season 1, but getting to these drinking game rules and what they're really all about.
There's more.
Season 2 and 3. Last one, does Clark show up out of nowhere?
He doesn't. He actually has contextual reasons for showing up everywhere.
That's amazing.
In this episode, yeah.
That's
I was really
amazing.
trying, but nope, they explain it every time.
Yeah, good for them. But fuck them for not letting us drink.
Right. So
All right.
that's a grand total of 6 shots.
6 shots. So
On
I
my
think this
mark.
is a good shot episode, correct?
Yes. The other episode's real heavy. Don't get alcohol poisoning, but this one definitely.
You can go shot. You
It's
can go
almost like a
shotty
mellow
with this one. Yeah,
you know? Like maybe like a
absolutely.
good relaxing episode.
Yeah, just kinda
casual
chill
drinks
back.
with friends.
Totally.
Casual 6 shots with friends.
I love it. All right, let's move on to the geek lore segment.
This is Smallville. Meteor freaks, alien ships, cryptic symbols. Someone has to protect the world.
The killer mentions the Langs, and he was curious about what they've been up to since 1938, which you pointed out earlier was the first appearance of Superman in June of 1938 in Action Comics #1.
Indeed.
So that's a pretty good little geek trivia spotlight, but I think most people who are watching the show probably know when Superman first appeared, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like really like brushed by like real quick, but it's like you could tell that they picked that year for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we have, obviously we're talking about the foreshadowing that happens for both Clark and his destiny for saving a bunch of people and the people he will save.
Indeed.
And for future episodes, because we haven't seen some of the people that he showed. We saw one person which was the coffee shop barista, and he, through his vision, which he's also able to see her visions when nobody else could.
Right.
And that's when she figures out that he's not from around here.
Right. And she seems to be like excited about it.
And again, Lex and foreshadowing of him being potentially president of the United States, which is a thing that happens in the comic books.
He's a bloody president.
Yeah. He has a whole scene where he's standing in a field of bones, of like skulls, and it starts raining blood.
Yes.
Which when I first saw it, I like literally, maybe it was because of the color, I thought it was ketchup. And I thought that
kind of looks like it.
So the joke for me every time I see this episode is that he just wants ketchup for everybody. That's the rule.
Oh, okay. So it's
he wants to bring ketchup to the world, and he's just smiling about it as it rains from the sky.
He becomes the ketchup president. Like he becomes appointed as president, and he's just like, everywhere is going to have ketchup. Ketchup. If you have a house that does not have ketchup, you're good.
That's just
un-American. I got you back.
And he found a way to do ketchup cloud seeding. So it'll change your mind. It'll change your whole outlook on this episode.
That scene real quickly, if I may, that scene has like that shot of him like being in the field and all that with the red or with the white suit and all that stuff. Like it was. Like it stands out in my mind when I first saw Smallville when it was airing. Like, wow, this show like knows what it's doing. Like they know where they're headed.
Yeah, totally.
And like it kind of had that vibe, like a relation to the comics. You know, I don't think stands out as much prominently in other episodes moving forward.
Right. It does and it doesn't. Like this one's like vague and like a lot more epic about the destiny. I can't remember exactly when there's like that famous scene where it just shows his cape flying in the wind. Do you remember that?
I thought that was supposed to be this episode. When I was watching this episode, I was like, what the fuck? Where is that shot?
Right, because it's like a CG.
Because I thought it was like a fortune teller thing, and this woman sees the future. So I guess we'll find that episode moving forward. Somebody else that's probably a meteor freak can see the future, and that's where we're going to see that scene. Spoiler alert. We haven't gotten there yet, but
right.
There is a shot where someone sees Clark's future and there is a cape flying in the wind.
Spoiler, Clark Kent is Superman.
Exactly. What am I spoiling here? Yeah.
So I recently, it's funny because we don't see the tights or the cape until the last episode of season 10, which it's all CG.
Yeah.
He still never puts on the suit officially. Yeah. But recently, Tom Welling is doing this like limited edition T-shirt thing, where the proceeds go to Children's Hospital. And he has a shirt that says "No flights, no tights," which I think is pretty damn tight.
Yeah, that was the original concept of Smallville.
Yeah, which I think is cool. And also, I need to buy this shirt, of course. For the kids.
Yeah,
not for me. Why would I ever want that for myself?
Little kitties. So, anything to add to the Geek Lore segment there?
No, I mean, like we could sort of mention Kryptonite, since we have a Kryptonite Lake meteor freak. But that's nothing new. We've seen Kryptonite and all the weird, crazy, bad shit stuff it could do.
Yeah, Kryptonite is pretty bad shit.
All right, so I think that's it for Geek Lore then.
Yes, it is. Let's go to Crew Spotlight.
I'm to help create the look of the show, to tell the story visually.
So, Crew Spotlight, I have to say I didn't work very hard at this one, but I will mention that Chris Long, who is the director of this, was also a Lois and Clark alumni.
Interesting. Makes sense.
But he also did Birds of Prey in like early 2000s. James Cameron's like Dark Angel.
With the Birds of Prey, like Birds of Prey was a show that's okay. Birds of Prey had a pilot, right?
Right.
And
it was like one 13 episode season or something.
Did all 13 episodes air?
Yeah.
But it was about Batgirl, right? Oh, no. You know who it is? It's Batman's daughter.
Yeah. Huntress. So it's like the daughter of Catwoman and Batman.
Yes. And Harleen Quinzel is in it.
Yeah, and Oracle. Oracle isn't it, right?
Nobody fucking watched this show.
Yeah. I mean, I barely watched this show because I can't even remember all the people that were in it. Yeah. But old Batgirl's in it. She's not old. She's like in her 40s.
Right.
She's like wheelchair bound.
Right.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting. You did Roswell, which is another Vancouver-based show. The Time Cop show with a really, really bad Van Damme knockoff. So yeah, I think he's done some interesting genre things. I mean, he's like done other things, but this is all we really care about as Smallville fans.
Absolutely. It's very important.
But that pretty much wraps up the Crew Spotlight. Chris Long.
Well, there you go. Crew Spotlight. That is our wrap up of the episode Hourglass. Jason, where can people find you on the internet?
All over. Mostly
kind of
Instagram, JTL_hell. Twitter, Jason_Lamb.
Perfect. You can find me on all the platforms. And Mike Pelly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
This has been a podcast presented by
Hard to Find Media.
Subscribe to Hard to Find Media on youtube.com/Hard to Find Media Network. This shit is free. Share it. Blast it. Fuck it.